Hey guys, thank you for checking out my channel, Hoffman Supply Chain Advisors. I'm Dave Hoffman, and today's lesson, I want to spend some time talking about what a successful RFP would look like. So let's just say you're getting ready to go out to bid, you have your business. What sort of information are you going to provide or need to provide those carriers when conducting this RFP? So let's get into it, okay? And for those of you, again, we'll just try to keep it simple. RFP stands request for pricing, okay? So we'll break it down. Let's assume that you ship truckload and LTL, okay? So let's start with truckload. Now, hopefully you have some sort of a data set in an Excel spreadsheet that you're able to provide your logistics team, or you're able to provide your providers that you're asking to bid this on. So we're going to make that assumption, and these are some of the things that you want to make sure you have for your truckload portion, okay? So you want to have your origin city, state, and zip code, okay? You're going to have the same thing for your destination, okay? Okay, we're just going to put quotations down there because that's the exact same thing, right? And then the other two pieces of information, while not terribly critical, it does help. You want to have your weight, okay? So usually when we talk about full truckload, you're going to assume anything 20,000 pounds to 40,000 pounds roughly, okay? But the reason why I think this is important, because sometimes when carriers are looking at this, let's just say, for example, it's full truckload, but it's only about 25,000 pounds. And the max you could fit on a truck is around 40,000 pounds. Well, carrier might see that and say, okay, it's less than 40,000 pounds, so I'm hauling less product, and I'm maybe using less fuel because I don't have as much weight I'm trying to haul. They might give favorable pricing. Again, it certainly helps. You want your pallet count, okay? Again, not critical. The other piece that I would tell you when you're providing this information, and what you could do is, I have seen a lot of times when I've done RFPs, we will provide carriers with the name of our shippers and the name of our receivers, the consignee. And the reason why is there are just some shippers and some consignees in this country that truck drivers do not want to deliver to. It could be because they have long wait times. It could be because they're not set up in a way that is carrier friendly. If they're late, let's say 5 minutes being late, they'll make them reschedule. They might have to wait days to get unloaded. So you want to basically give the destination and the origin names, okay? And what we've done in the past too is where we've had we've set up like non-disclosure agreements where we'll give that to the carriers and just say, hey, here's the information. Make sure you sign this because we don't want to give out any business information. But this is really important, and I found it very valuable because there were times where before we didn't do this, carriers would then find out who the shipper or the receiver is, and after the first shipment, they'd say, I don't want this lane anymore, and I don't want this lane because of A, B, or C. So this will save you a lot of time up front, making sure that you're giving them the correct information so they can bid these lanes appropriately. And the one last piece that I almost forgot to mention, volume, okay? How often are you shipping that lane in a given week, in a given month? And the reason I bring that up is typically the more volume you give, the favorable pricing you're going to get, and these carriers are willing to work with you and say, hey, I need this commitment. This is these are the number of trucks I have available in a given week, and this is where I'm looking to get them going. This happens to be one of the places that I need to get back to or I'm heading to. So if you have a significant amount of volume, it definitely helps your cause, okay? So again, truckload RFP, origin, city, state, and zip. Same thing for the destination, okay? You want to provide weight if possible, pallet count, and volumes, okay? And you can assume that this data that you're providing is historical data, going back in the past and looking at that. And typically what I have done is I've tried to give carriers, if it's available, 6 to 12 months worth of data, okay? That way they can kind of see and look for trends, things of that nature. If you have the ability to give out forward-looking data, so they can kind of see, well, what are we looking at in another 6 to 12 months in terms of volume? That helps too. And I know some companies do have, we had it at my old company, IBP. It's a function off of SAP where it can kind of give forecasts. You can get, somewhat granular, but it gives them an idea of, hey, what are we looking at in the future as well, in addition to looking in the past, okay? So that's basically what you need for your truckload providers for your RFP. So now let's go to LTL. And my eraser was here somewhere. All right. So now we're going to look at what we need for LTL. Okay. So much like with truckload, same thing. You're going to have origin, destination, okay, and you're going to have the city, state, and zip code, okay? Same thing down here. With LTL, you're definitely going to know your weights, okay? Because that's very important to know. And as we talked about in a few prior videos, weight does play a role in pricing, okay? So you have your weight. You also want to have your freight class, okay? And one other thing you could provide too is pallet count, right? So same thing, if you basically give them this data, right? Same thing, you're gonna look back 6 to 12 months worth of data. If you have the ability to look out and you have some data that you can share with them what they're gonna expect in the future, that helps, right? Same thing, I'm gonna just write over here just so that way you guys can see it. We wanna talk about volume so they can see about how many shipments they're gonna get or they can expect in a week, a month, okay? So, and I would tell you that with LTL, the one thing that I have found, and I guess I could say the same thing for truckload, right, is you can invite as many carriers and providers as you want. What I have found, what I've had success with is I try and have a select few, okay? With LTL, you maybe want, and it depends on your network and it depends where you're shipping, but maybe, 2 to 3 national carriers. Okay, and when I say national carriers, I'm just talking carriers that can go all over the US, right? They're not specific to a region. And then maybe if you are shipping out of certain locations and you are staying within a certain region, maybe you, depending again, let's just say for argument's sake, you might have 3 to 4 regional carriers, okay? So again, that's kind of what you want to have. And as far as, I would say the same thing for truckload providers. What I've typically found is, and depending on what you're shipping, it can be very specific. If you're a chemical company and you're shipping strictly hazardous materials, your carrier base is going to be pretty limited. If you're a company that's shipping pallets or packaging material, you could probably have a little bit of a big carrier base to select from and choose from. But the more specific of the commodity that you ship, the more that you're going to see less of a supply in the market. So you're going to have to pick and choose who you want to ship with. So this should pretty much give you your idea of what you want to look for in RFP. And again, I could write a book. There's a lot more to cover, but this is very basic. It's very generic. And I appreciate you guys checking this out. Remember to subscribe and like the video. And we will see you next time. Thanks, guys.